finally, we have Mahalakshmi. Mahalakshmi is a youth volunteer and a branch steering committee member of the Family Planning Association of India. And she's also a member of the South Asian Regional Youth Network, SARIN. She has a master's in social work and she's a Teach of India Fellow. And she has done impactful sessions on comprehensive sexuality education across diverse communities, including persons with disabilities, rural areas, and urban slums. So, welcome to all three of our very important, impactful panelists. Thank you very much. So that highlighted how challenging it is to build community as youth, to build the community trust during humanitarian crisis. So it's really nice to hear the support that you have received from the community leaders and whom we call adults to engage youth in the humanitarian settings. So now we move on to Mahalakshmi. So can you describe how the youth voices remain central in SRH advocacy and in service delivery in the humanitarian context?
All right. So first of all, namaskar, everyone. A very important question that how youth is centered to SRHR, and when we talk about in context to humanitarian crisis, youth undoubtedly becomes one of the most vulnerable populations when it comes to conflict or when it comes to humanitarian crisis. And when I say vulnerable, I mean young people who are in child labor, young people who belong to LGBTQI plus community, young people who are sex workers, young people who are persons with disability, which are often forgotten. And when including young people in SRHR becoming the center is not only important because they belong to the vulnerable section. It is because they have witnessed those crises, so they have the ideas how to combat from those crises. They have the best solutions to that because they have become the victim of that and they know the reality, the ground reality very much. And additionally, adding to that would be that a young people would be more able to resonate, will be more able to understand, will be more able to understand the challenges and bring out the solutions when it is discussed with their own counterparts, with their people who belong to their people who are young. And because, youth are not monoliths, they have diverse opinions, they have diverse needs. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Melinda. So I think it is really important that we use innovative methods to engage youth because the youth is diverse and they have diverse needs and diverse ways of retaining information. So thank you very much for sharing all the innovative ways that you have used. So let's go back to Mahalakshmi and to ask you the next question. How do you see the role of youth evolving in the future SRH and humanitarian settings?
Like I previously said, that youth is already the center of SRHR when it comes to humanitarian needs or services. Adding to this point, that youth has always been asking for the seat and has got the seat, but youth needs seat and say. So that is one thing which I personally believe. And when it comes to the evolving needs, what I envision is that youth has the decision making and leadership roles. They have the authority in companionship with already existing norms that are in the society. Of course, we need experience from you guys, of course. So yes, youth needs your support, your learnings from your experiences, but also has to have accountability on ourselves also and decision making ability, because we often have the habit of doing very creative stuff with the changing needs, with the changing circumstances. Like when we talk about humanitarian crisis, the immediate thought which comes to our mind is the physical effects, food, essential items, and what beyond that, SRHR, yes, menstrual hygiene management. There is no water, we are talking about menstrual hygiene management, so we have to have that intersection in between also. And along with that, more psychological support. So that is how SRHR has been a very diverse topic. It has a lot of, it has broadened its dimensions, like psychological support. What if youth is trained as peer educators, youth is trained as peer counselors? Wouldn't it be more fascinating to have someone like you of your age talking about your needs, what you have felt, without any judgment, without any fear of being judged or being stigmatized? So that is what my idea is. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mahalakshmi. And I really like it how you pointed out how having somebody on the field that as a youth you can relate to see somebody who looks like you, who is around your age, supporting you during a time of crisis. So I think that's really important that you pointed that out. So I have one final question to all the panelists. In your ideal world, what does youth inclusive functional preparedness look like?
All right. So, preparedness, when we say, I already said that youth needs seat, youth needs say, and youth need learning from your experience. Kudos to your efforts. We need experiences. We need to be equipped. We are more than happy to learn. We are more than happy if you teach us, but treat us as your counterparts only. We need your support and preparedness. Equip us with necessary skills, equip us with trainings as to how to handle, maybe in situations like we have, there are diverse cohort I can see in the back, youth sitting, and who have come here because they have done a lot of ground stuff. They have done so much of field work. They have given menstrual hygiene management trainings. They have been working in comprehensive sexuality education for so long with the community itself. So we need support in terms of what preparedness is, that more skills, more trainings in that manner, and also which are more relevant to the 21st century, which are more relevant to the current times. Like we are like technology wise, digitally, this with the changing global scenario, it is more digitally driven. It is more about, especially after pandemic was no less than a disaster, wasn't it? So we are more than happy to collaborate, to have your companionship, and to prepare something which resonates with each one of us and does not makes any distinguish between the adults or the young people. At the last, we all are human beings. We are all fighting for human dignity. We are all fighting for human rights. Yeah.
Thank you, Mahalakshmi. So let me share another question across the panel. What is your vision for the future leadership of youth in SRH in humanitarian settings? How would you envision how the youth would interact in the humanitarian settings in the future?
I had similar thoughts, decision making and leadership roles, and adding to that from the community itself, from encouraging peer leadership from the community itself. And just to conclude, it is never about youth if it is without youth.